Okay, now we're actually going. I just need to make sure that the stream doesn't shut down again. That's never happened before. I tried to get this going twice now, and then the stream randomly shut down. But we're back with our regular Sunday content. We did not go live with Talking Lost today. Luke was busy today, so we're going to be hitting that tomorrow. But Dustin and I are here to give you, we do these, I feel like, at least once a year, where we talk about kind of just like, there's like a bunch of shit that drops in the fall. So the two of us just like pick a weekend, and then we talk about kind of, kind of all of it. We hung out last weekend. We saw a bunch of stuff. You actually got to go to New York Film Festival, so I'm going to give you like a whole segment to talk about that once we get to the end. But Dustin, it is that time of the year. We are in Q4, and you know what that means. These studios are just dumping everything on us, not just the Oscar movies, but everything. We got
television too.
Exactly, television too. We got Mr. Scorsese yesterday. I watched the first 2 episodes. I'm assuming you watched all of it. Task is wrapping up its final episode tonight, so we're going to be talking about that, as you guys can see, before the finale tonight. We've got so much talk about Black Phone 2. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I saw It Was Just an Accident yesterday. Roofman, Smashing Machine, Tron Ares, and of course, the thing that you saw at New York Film Festival is this thing on. I'm so excited that you
all the banner changes. I love it.
Banner changes. I know you love when I do that. So we're gonna start off with Task. Like I said, 7-part miniseries from the creator of Mayor of Easttown, Brad Inglesby. 2 co-directors, Jeremiah Zager and Sally Richardson Whitfield, I believe. This stars Mark Ruffalo, Tom Pelphrey, along with a bunch of other character actors that have been in a million things. I gotta pull it up so that I don't fuck up the names, because I always do that. Amelia Jones from Coda, Fabian Frankel from House of the Dragon,
Oliver from
Saltburn, Thuso Mbedu from the Underground Railroad, Raul Castillo from
who cares?
He's been in a bunch of stuff. Jamie McShane from Sons of Anarchy,
and
Plimpton. This show is basically the thing that I do to describe this show and break it down for people is this show is basically Heat, and then it becomes The Departed halfway through. And it's a 7-episode miniseries. And
it's the better version of Dope Thief. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's literally Dope Thief.
Point where they literally have actors from Dope Thief in this and being better than they were in Dope Thief.
Exactly. And it doesn't feel like a vanity project for the lead actor to just show off his skills, even though the material is just really mediocre and hack. So Task, on the other hand, is simply incredible. It's one of the best things on television that television has given us this decade. I would put it up there with The Mayor of Easttown, with The Penguin, with Fleischman Is in Trouble. It's one of the very best miniseries we've ever gotten, and I cannot wait until it ends tonight. And I just want to give a shout out to Sally Richardson Whitfield. She's an actress, I believe. I think I've seen her in a few things. I believe this is the first thing she's ever directed.
Wow. If that's the case, man, props to her. Because did she direct the last episode?
She's directed at least 3 episodes. I think 3, 4, and 6. I think she directed, and
it's really good.
3, 5, and 6. I think
I watched the first episode of this as I was on the plane back from Toronto, and just the first episode alone, I'm like, we're in for something really good if this goes the way that I think it's going, without getting too spoilery. The basic breakdown of the plot is, like I said, as far as introducing us to the Heat situation, it introduces us to both the cop and the criminal. The cop, played by Mark Ruffalo, who's like a down on his luck FBI agent who's drowning his sorrows in booze 24/7. You learn about like kind of his family tragedy that's going on. And then you have Tom Pelphrey, who to me is like, that's the performance of the fucking year so far. Movies, TV, whatever. It's him as far as I goes. And never in a million years did I think that the idiot brother from Ozark and one of the mediocre villains from the first season of Iron Fist would be this good in something. But he is basically kind of a down on his luck trash collector who moonlights with his partner, played by Raul Castillo, as they break into drug houses and rob them. All these drug houses are run by this one motorcycle gang called the Dark Hearts. And then one night they break into the wrong house, and it goes wrong. And they end up having to kill the 2 people who are in the house after their third guy gets shot. And then they end up kidnapping.
You don't have to give away the whole show.
Well, no, that's the first episode.
I know it's the first episode, but it doesn't actually give it away in the marketing.
Right. Exactly. Well,
Whatever.
regardless, that's what sets us up and for the collision course. But that's just the setup, and that's before you bring in all the other characters, and that's before you get into like kind of all their conflicts and shit that they've got going on.
And
And
Elvis Nolasco's on it
yeah,
too.
Elvis Nolasco pops
Terrific.
up as a drug dealer who's great, which that wasn't a name that I was really that familiar with beforehand, but everybody was making like a big deal about it. Like, what has he been in that like I've missed?
He's been in in quite a few things over the years. He's a character actor. I know I've seen him in quite a few things. Sorry for not
It's Freddie
having my
Freya.
my
Awesome
my,
gang
my
name, by
Elvis Nolasco filmography on the brain. Hmm. Oh, he was in the remake of Old Boy.
oh God.
He had a recurring role on Claws, the TNT show with Niecy Nash, Godfather of Harlem.
That's right. That's what I saw him in.
Oh, he was in American Crime. I saw him in American Crime. That's
Okay.
where I know him from. The first 2 seasons of that.
Got it.
So,
But like,
yeah.
it's not even like the main cast. Like the main cast is all great. Like there's not a single bad performance from any of them, which is really, really impressive. But it's like all of like the random one-offs that they get. So for example, like Jason, right? The one motorcycle gang, you see his wife in the second episode, and you're like, wait, why does she look familiar? And then you look it up and you're
That's
like, oh, that's Margarita Levieva
that's the
from
girl from
Adventureland.
Adventureland,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then once you see like the direction that goes, and I'm really trying to keep it as spoiler free for anybody who hasn't seen this, but for real, anybody who hasn't seen this, go watch it because it is that good. I know the monoculture has prevented anybody from talking about anything mainstream because nobody like watches one thing anymore. But like just the random people who end up showing up on here, like the friggin' when you get the flashback with Tom Pelfrey's brother, which you realize is like the inciting incident for how this whole thing get kicked off. And I'm like, why does that guy look familiar? And it's like, oh, that's Jack Kesey from Deadpool 2. And then you get what's it called? And then the Mark Ruffalo's daughter's therapist is Coral Pena from what's it called? From For All Mankind. And then his wife is Muriel Enos. And then in the most recent episode, you have Raphael Sabarge show up out of nowhere.
No, he showed up a couple episodes ago when they went. Yeah. Well, before they went to the park, they went to Fabian Frankel's police headquarters, and he's his captain, and he's acting all friendly.
Oh my God! Wow, that just okay. Wow, I'm really not paying as much attention to the show as I thought. That was the first time that I saw him.
Raphael Sabarge from the '80s classic, My Man Adam.
Yep, and also in Risky Business.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, it's a great show. It's a really
the guy that plays Ray, who had like apparently a bit part on Dope Thief.
Yeah,
that guy was incredible.
Yeah,
put him in
a one-off for the ages.
Put him in a Safdie movie immediately. Yeah. He stole that whole episode.
Yeah. It's really tough to like
continue
to talk about this because like do we want to do spoilers before the finale? Because like I feel like anybody oh man, it sucks. There's so much. It's just the last 2 episodes alone. I was so locked in, and I remember I was texting you throughout like it was either episode 5 or 6. I'm like, this is like the greatest episode of like anything that I've seen so far this decade. This is so good. The way that they were building up to it. Oh man. And I think what's even funnier is the fact that Brad Inglesby also co-wrote The Lost Bus, which is so far on the other end of the spectrum in terms of like quality, because everything that's going on outside of like the fire sequences in that movie, which are really well done, are like a Lifetime movie. So it's really funny. So it's really funny to me that like he's this capable of doing stuff. Because I was going through his filmography because like I hadn't really heard of him before Mayor of Easttown, and then come to find out he's a co-writer on what's it called? He's a co-writer on Out of the Furnace.
Banger.
Yep, he wrote the script for The Way Back with Ben Affleck, one of the most underrated movies that came out in 2020. And your favorite movie starring Liam Neeson,
Run All Night.
There we go. He co-writes that. So like he's had a pretty consistent track record throughout, but he's another one of those guys that again has just been working his way up throughout Hollywood for the last like couple of decades, and then HBO saw something in him, scooped him up. Mayor was good. Mayor was really good. I don't want to like downplay the effects of Mayor of Easttown because that was really, really good when that came out. But it's like you were saying, you didn't even remember the mystery from that show. Like I didn't remind you. But this one I feel like is going to like stick in our brains for a lot longer. And part of that is because again, it is emulating things and like certain elements of genre storytelling that we are a lot more familiar with. But still, it's just like this show just really has it where it counts. And this really is like the special sauce.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see how it concludes itself tonight. That's going to be incredibly interesting. I hope a certain character has her,
Yeah.
gets her moment of vengeance.
Yeah. For
But
real.
this show has done a good job twisting expectations
For
and
real.
actually, like, being very original at every step of the way almost. The only problems I have with the show are really the daughter. The
Really,
Mark
the Amelia
which
Jones part.
no, she's not. No, she's the niece
You're right, Denise.
Tom
You're talking
Pelphrey. I'm
Ruffalo's
talking
daughter.
about what you didn't even discuss yet, Mark Ruffalo's depressed daughter.
Yeah, okay, talk about that because that's
Okay,
that to me is I'm like, that's the one storyline where I'm like, they always gotta put one of these in every one of these stories. We always hate them. They're
well, let's
always the
just
worst part.
Mark Ruffalo, he's a former priest, and, it's explained in the last episode, actually, 2 episodes ago, where, his wife converted him into not being a priest anymore, and, he becomes an FBI agent, an FBI, agent, and starts a relationship with her and marries her, and then they adopt 2 kids along with having their own child, who's now an adult, but they have 2 adopted kids. One of them has really bad, like, mental problems, and I guess he was staying at home, and then he murders, the mother by
Right,
accident.
right.
It's like a down the stairs sort of situation. But so he's in prison, he's in jail, getting, ready for sentencing, and, Mark Ruffalo is having a lot of internal struggles with that, trying to come to grips with forgiving his son or trying to make peace with it at least. And we just keep cutting back to scenes of his fucking useless daughter who doesn't do anything with the story other than describe a little bit of Mark Ruffalo's character and her own depression and struggles, even though honestly her and her brother had it pretty good.
Yeah,
But
it's like I said, it's that one storyline that is always useless. It
and
doesn't really add anything.
it
It's just
doesn't really connect to the
it
show
doesn't connect to
well.
the central mystery or anyway. Like, okay, like if the dog, I'd like, okay, like there's some interesting conflict at the beginning when it's like,
Yeah.
so you have his eldest daughter, who's his only biological daughter, right? The Phoebe Fox character. She's introduced.
Yes.
And the whole thing is like she very rightfully so blames the one because the sister and her brother who's in jail are adopted. She very rightfully so blames the brother for killing them.
Yeah.
And then when the adopted daughter was like, "Oh, it's my mom too," and the older daughter was like, I'm like, "Oh, okay." There was some interesting conflict there, but once like the central mystery of like him investigating Tom Pelphrey and the task force took off, I'm like, "Oh," and they kept like checking back in with that one. I'm like, well, why are we still following this? Like, why do we care about this?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like you knew though that that was going to be solved. That
Yeah,
whole problem with the daughter saying that to the adopted daughter,
yeah.
like you knew that that was going to get
Like,
resolved.
that was
They
never
were going
really
to
gonna go anywhere.
no. What was interesting is when you found out that the son murdered the wife,
Yes.
but they haven't really tied that in
Yeah.
a satisfying way to me. But they're definitely been saving it for this last episode,
Yeah.
so
Like I said, it's really, really gonna come down to this episode,
probably gonna
especially
be the last scene of the series,
what?
actually, is like
Yeah. Because,
is
I
him
mean,
seeing
people,
his
they've
son.
been theorizing and, like, wishing for it to get a season 2. I don't want this to get a season 2. This is
No,
a
are
one
you
and done.
kidding
This
me?
is a one and done. I'm like,
What would that even
Ruffalo's
be?
name branding alone, it's like and what? It would just be, like, them investigating a new mystery. It's like, no, this is as one and done as you could possibly get it,
I
and
hate that. I hate when people watch a miniseries and was like,
yeah.
"No, let's, like, keep going with it." Like, no, the story's over. Like, it's one thing to do it with, like, True Detective or Fargo, which are, like, anthology, but, like, this is, like, no, keep miniseries 1 season,
Yeah, I agree.
please.
I agree because again, we've seen that happen where you have like a great miniseries that then gets additional seasons and
Like
it's
Waco. Like, why do we need another season of Waco?
my go-to is Big Little Lies, where Big Little
That
Lies was
too,
a
yeah,
fucking baller first season, and then they do that second season after they surpass the book, and I will still never forget watching that second season
I
in the
agree.
summer of 2019 and being like, this is the most ludicrous. Like, I wasn't even hate watching after a certain point. I'm like, I just like want to know what stupid shit they're gonna pull out of their ass for the next one. Like the minute that they basically caused Zoe Kravitz's mom in that show to have a vision that caused her to have a stroke, I was like
Mhm,
dying laughing. I'm like, this is incredible. And now, after Jean-Marc Vallée tragically passed away,
mhm.
and
It
after they
rhymes.
just yanked the second season away from Andrew Arnold, like Andrew Arnold, like, yeah, they wouldn't even let me into the editing bay for the second season, which is wild. Now they're finally coming back for a third season, apparently, which I'm like,
Why?
what are they gonna do? Like, literally, what are they gonna do? Like, this is not a Euphoria season 3 situation where we're still somewhat interested just to see what's going to happen given like the premise and everything that's happened since that second season. But I digress. The finale is on tonight. Definitely go and watch it. You know, if you guys haven't watched the first 6 episodes, watch the first 6 episodes.
Like a 9.5 out of 10. It's going to be very close to a 10.
Yeah.
It's very close to a 10 rather. And let's see if it could jump the shark tonight.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Like I said, I'm worried because that last episode was so good. Like, you want to talk about apex of HBO penultimate episodes. This is like, you know, Richie and Adriana getting killed level. This is Red Wedding level. This probably surpasses Red Wedding level in terms of like, because that's the thing about HBO shows. It's always the second to last episode, and like Sopranos started that trend where the second to last episode is always like where the insane, like crazy fucking clash happens, and then the finale is always like the wind down from it. So I'm interested to see, because there's still a lot of because even though the bulk of like the major storyline was wrapped in episode 6, there's still so many overhanging and loose threads that they got to tie up.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna be really interested to see how they go. So the next one, we're going to just run through these next couple of movies that have all come out in the last couple of weeks. So Smashing Machine, not going to spend too much time on that because I already saw that at TIFF. I already talked about that a lot, but I'm interested to see your thoughts on it since you finally were able to see it.
I enjoyed The Smashing Machine. I think it's a very solid film. I wish that it gave us a little bit more to chew on than the documentary did. And if you've seen the documentary of the same name, then you're really not seeing that much different here. I mean, there's a couple additional moments with the girlfriend character played by Emily Blunt, who is, in my opinion, the strongest actor in the movie, and really gets to actually disappear more than Dwayne Johnson, who does occasionally like have the voice down, but there's only so much makeup you could put on The Rock to hide The Rock. You know what I mean? But they do as good enough of a job to make him fit the character. He is a good actor when given the right material. I just think this movie's very formulaic, and I think when I was enjoying it the most is when it was focusing more on the Dwayne Johnson Emily Blunt relationship. And to me, the highlight sequence of the movie is when they go to that county fair, like they go to the Dutchess County Fair or something, and there's that whole back and forth that he has, and that scene is unintentionally or not showing how much of a pain in the ass and narcissistic he is. And I might have a different opinion than other people when it comes to these characters. I was on her side the entire movie. Like, the entire movie. I get it. She was kind of annoying at points, but she was trying.
Yeah.
She was making an effort. He was all about himself the entire time. And it was just a terrible experience seeing this in the theater almost, because there were moments in this movie where there was this asshole misogynist in the theater going, "Dump her." And then when he tells her, you know, that she has to move out, that's when the guy goes, "Woo!" And I'm just like, yeah. So that's what they mean when people say like, "Oh yeah, misogyny is alive and well." Yeah,
Yep.
I guess so,
Yeah.
because I was on poor Emily Blunt's side the whole
Yeah.
time, because he was just so passive aggressive and annoying the entire time. It was interesting, but I love that sequence of her on the alien ride and just really just taking in life without him. And it just showed her as I just thought it was a very good performance. I thought her last scene in the movie was handled poorly. And that's when it felt false, and that's when it felt like that didn't really feel like something that would happen in real life. Like to the gravity of what she's going to do, reacting to what he said, like, oh, that's what she's going to do. That's what a person would do. And I didn't really get that kind of like erratic side of her until that moment. So that felt forced and false of a note for me in the film. But I do think the fight sequences were great. I didn't mind that the movie was like a slow downfall, because that's what the documentary was. Like, it showed, like in the beginning, all of his success and all of his victories. But yeah, he's going to have his downfall. I wish it did focus more on the addiction side of it.
Yeah.
But 12 minutes
skirted past a lot of, I feel like more. There was like one major crazy like addiction thing, and then it's like, oh, he just comes back. And I'm almost hesitant to wonder, like, oh, that's like The Rock infringing and being like, look, I can't make myself like look like too down and dirty, you know?
Yeah, the score is really good. The soundtrack's good. I like some of the '90s, early 2000s songs that they put in here. Sugar Ray, obviously. But yeah, I liked how it was shot. I thought the period detail was accurate, but it just
There was a detail that I saw that Benny Safdie commented on when doing press for this, basically saying how the
mm,
reason why like he shot the opening sequence the way he did was because he wanted it to emulate like a thing that you would see if you just stumbled upon it on YouTube, which I thought that was pretty.
yeah, which is pretty much the documentary a little bit. Like they
Yeah,
show a little bit of that too. But yeah, it just didn't really feel like it was adding much to the Mark Kerr
right.
story for me, but it was a solid enough time. I did like the movie. I would give it a low 8 out of 10, but it's not on the level of what we're used to seeing the
Same.
Safdies give us.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that you had a really good time, and maybe when you saw it at TIFF, and it was the premiere, right?
Yeah,
So
it
it was
was the
like,
premiere.
yeah, maybe your experience was heightened by that,
It definitely was. And
but
what I'll
it
say,
was a solid time, but
yeah.
I still think Christie is gonna be the superior fighter movie.
So
I
then,
just
like I
do.
said, couple things that I wanted to add to that. Now that kind of the TIFF like hype wave that happened for me when I saw that has died down a little bit. There's a couple things that have obviously come to light since then. One, obviously the
But
movie wide release, and the movie did not do well. It did
no.
not do well at all. And that kind of also ties into some of the worry that's going on around A24. And it's kind of people are now starting to become worried that because of this movie, unfortunately not doing the money that we thought it was going to, that A24 is potentially going to go the way of a lot of other indie studios, which is basically kind of unfortunately the track record for these indie studios that are able to have like this kind of big breakout wave of micro budgeted movies that then catch on really big, as they are then by virtue of their success forced to expand. And then when the movies start facing diminishing returns, you just see the end all be all of it. And that's what I'm worried, because we've seen A24 start to take on these bigger, more ambitiously driven movies. And the returns have certainly been 50-50 back and forth, because I know that Materialists did very, very well. I think that cleared over 100 million for them.
Mhm.
But this not doing well, it's kind of worrisome
That's
for
a big deal.
ways. Namely also because, this is the latest in a string of flops that The Rock has had. And the fact that The Rock has been trying to, this seemed like something that this seemed like a necessary shift that he needed in his career after the last decade of, really flops. And so that doesn't bode well. As it also kind of hurt this movie's Oscar chances. The fact that Marty Supreme came out and demolished it at New York Film Festival was met with almost universal acclaim. People are already slating in Timmy to win the Oscar. And that also ties in with a rumor that I heard that's not confirmed, but I did hear that the Safdie brothers, Josh and Benny, are feuding behind the scenes. Now, what led to that? Who knows?
It was the Me Too shit with that producer that was married to Emily Ratajkowski.
So this is the first I'm hearing about this. So just go more in depth with that.
I think his name was Sebastian Bear McLeod, and
Okay.
he was like a big part of Alara Pictures, which was their production house and or production company. And he, I'm pretty sure, was outed as being like a scumbag, like a predator or something. Like they hired uh like an intern on Good Time or like an actress on Good Time, and they didn't end up using them. And I think she was used I think she was sexually harassed or something. The
Okay.
brothers didn't have anything to do with it, but they knew about the situation or
Oh,
something. And I think there was a fallout over that.
okay.
So they cut ties with him, and then through that, I think they cut ties with each other.
Really?
But I don't think the beef is that big as people are proclaiming, because like Benny was there at the New York Film Festival
Okay.
so it was like
Got it. So it was
fine.
more so just a matter of they just went their separate ways and
I
are
think
now just like
they reached a rough patch right at their peak, of course,
yeah,
because this generation is obsessed with taking down people, and they weren't the ones that did anything, but the fact that they know people, that's a crime now.
yeah,
So, yeah, nothing but the best for them. I thought this was a solid time, but it was just more generic than I was expecting
yeah.
and hoping for.
And and I never wanted to be the guy that pointed fingers like, oh, Josh was always the more talented one than Benny, and because none of us have seen Marty Supreme yet, but just based on everybody's reaction to it,
I mean, you could kind of tell, like if you're familiar with like the behind the scenes, like uh featurettes and like the commentaries, you could tell that Josh was always the more like passionate one. Benny's the more like wishful thinking kind of one, and he's more the boom mic operator. Like, he's, like, obsessed with just holding the boom. Like, he makes that his thing. He's like a
That
quirk
and
guy.
acting with a bunch in a bunch of big name properties with big name directors too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like his thing. Yeah, so you gave Smash Machine 8 out of 10. I think I gave it like 4, and I think I gave it like 4.5 out of 5 at tip, but I think I'm lowering it to a 4 now. Moving on, let's do another movie that you were very, very excited for. I was interested just based off the fact that it was another true story, and after seeing it, I'm like, it was good. I didn't love it. That's Roofman, starring Channing Tatum. This is what, the 4th or 5th film from Derek Cianfrance, which,
Fourth.
again, the
Yeah.
fact that this is probably the most quote unquote happy and uplifting movie that he's ever directed. Which, again, if you know anything about this movie and what it's about, is hysterical when you think about that. But so you clued me into this movie, I want to say like a year or two ago, something like that, when you were being like, you gotta check out look out for Derek Cianfrance's Roofman. I'm like, what the hell is that? You're like, you don't remember this? This was like a very, very big story. We were kids. I'm like, Dustin, I didn't watch the fucking news when I was a kid. I didn't know about anything. I lived under a rock growing up. So now educate the audience on what's it called? Oh, I love when comments come in and just throw me off. Now, Dustin, educate the viewing audience on Roofman.
Yeah, it's about this guy, Jeff. Oh yeah. Isn't it funny that Channing Tatum is playing a guy named Jeff after 22 Jump Street?
Oh, I didn't even put that together.
It's like the top letterbox review is someone saying, "Hi, my name is Jeff. You're hysterical. You should be a comedian. You're hilarious." Anyway, yeah, this is about a guy, Jeffrey Manchester. He was a former veteran, and he was a very technically skilled guy. Like, he was like a carpenter and a roofman, obviously. So he was struggling for a job, struggling for money. So he decided to rob 45 McDonald's, and he was, I guess, known for being like a polite robber, you know. So anyway, he goes to prison. He gets estranged from his daughter and his ex-wife, played by the always underrated Melanie Diaz, who's given an underserved role here. And he escapes and then finds himself hiding out in a Toys R Us. And for 6 months. And in between then, gets a girlfriend and gets himself entangled with the community, and chaos ensues.
Yeah, to say the least. To
And
say
this
the
movie has
least.
like an all-star cast:
Yeah.
Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, Ben Mendelsohn, Uzo Aduba, Ben Mendelsohn, Emery Cohen, Tony Revolori, Lakeith Stanfield, Juno Temple. Stacked. And the one slight issue I have with the movie is that I do think it was calibrated towards Channing Tatum's sensibilities perhaps a bit too much. I feel like he's established himself as a very charismatic, funny, capable actor. And if you've seen Foxcatcher, which I don't think you have,
I still have
Dominic,
not seen that in its time. No.
then you would know that he could take on deeper, heavier, crazier roles. I was expecting a little bit more darkness from this character, but maybe it's the way that guy presents himself when he talks to Channing Tatum in 15-minute intervals during the making of this movie. Maybe Channing Tatum didn't really want to play this guy as scummier than he probably was in real life. But it was still very entertaining, and Channing Tatum is a movie star, quite frankly, and he is terrific in this movie. And Kirsten Dunst, I think, is at her best when she plays roles that are down to earth, when she doesn't have to put that fake smile on. When she was a teenager in movies like Drop Dead Gorgeous and, Bring It On, that's when it felt authentic and genuine. Over the years, it's like, okay, when you're smiling as Mary Jane Watson, I just don't believe you. You know what I mean? But she's very good in this. Peter Dinklage is hilarious in this. the period detail is stupendous.
Yeah, the period detail was what really set me back because it takes place in what? Around like what? 04, 05, something
Like
like that?
05, 06, like
Yeah,
around
man.
then. And I'm like,
That,
yeah.
that Toys R Us and spending it. I love that. Like, and this is how you knew Cian France knew what he was doing with that aspect with the period details. Because man, the fact that just like us spending that much time at Toys R Us, man, I felt like I was a kid again going to that Toys R Us. That was one of my favorite stores to go to as
And
a kid.
the Tickle Me Elmos and all the different toys and like
Yeah,
t-shirts that he has, like it's just very accurate, and it didn't feel like, oh, they just bought these shirts from Target, you know what I mean? Where and they just put them in the movie. Because I was watching this movie that was shot, it was with Josh Hutcherson. It was made like in 2019. It was called Burnt, and that was set in like 1999. And the main character in the movie, she works at a convenience store, and I think they shot it in LaGrange, near where my grandma used to work. But you noted the first thing I noticed in that movie in the refrigerators, Bang energy drink. That wasn't in the 90s.
that like with that. Not at
It's
all.
it's just
That
nice to
even
see.
around like in the 2000
No,
like was that like a I feel that
yeah,
was a 2010s or a
yeah,
2020s thing. Like
that's what I mean. They couldn't
super
even
late.
do the bare minimum.
Yeah. Like, come on.
You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, I think it wasn't even like a working like gas station that they did it out of. They did it out of a rundown one, and they had to stock the shelves, so they still stocked it incorrectly. That's funny to me.
Yeah, that is funny.
But this is hilarious at points. I do think the way he juggles tone is impressive because he's
Yes, I
never done
believe
anything
that.
like this
Yeah.
before.
That was the thing that I
Everything has been
noticed because
heavy-handed,
I
but
had because I haven't seen Blue Valentine, but I have seen Place Beyond the Pines. I have seen Light Between Oceans, which made me want to slip my wrists out afterwards. And I have seen um what's the Ruffalo show that he did? I know this much is true. That one. I watched that one. Also super depressing, really, really uplifting subject matter right there. And so
right?
I appreciated that he was able to give us something that was a little bit more light and fun. Where kind of the movie lost me was the fact that I'm like, oh, this could have been like actually really cool and really interesting. And it was just okay because where it felt like were the more interesting areas, which was to focus on like the moral complexities that this character clearly faced and was capable of. This idea of trying to maintain this good guy facade while ultimately continuing to do these actions that, while he convinced himself were for the betterment, he even admits at the end of the movie, he's like, oh, I guess I was just, I always assumed that everybody just only cared about the things that I was able to provide for them instead of like them caring about me. I just wish they had focused a little bit more on that aspect.
I agree.
As opposed to oh man, Channing Tatum, he's just so much fun to be around. Man, isn't it going to suck when he eventually goes to jail at the end? Because y'all know that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's kind of where the movie lost me. That and the fact that I kept getting distracted by the fact that Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst are the same age. They're both 45. But because Channing Tatum I feel like, burst on. I mean, Channing Tatum has been acting for a while, but because I feel like he burst onto the scene like for us, like so much later, because we had the irony being also about Kirsten Dunst as a performer is that because we all have that familiarity, specifically people our age, with her in the Spider-Man movies, and like we have such this idea that was generated, from watching her in like the Spider-Man movies and movies like Bring It On and all the stuff that she was in, that we forget that she's a really, really fucking good actress. And even though she's done more than enough stuff in the last like decade and a half to really kind of subvert that image, her continued work with Sofia Coppola, in movies like Marie Antoinette and The Beguiled. Marie Antoinette also being on fucking the 25 for 25 on The Ringer is baffling to me. But we're not.
You're the one who loves the Ringer, people. I just watch it just because I'm bored.
I mean, I enjoy watching them, but certain of their decisions, I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, what is happening? And then really for me, obviously, it was the fact that she was the standout for The Power of the Dog, a movie that felt like it was made to win Oscars. But the fact that I'm coming away from that movie, not necessarily talking about Benedict Cumberbatch, who was great, but talking about her, I'm like, oh yeah, she's really fucking good. And so this was just like kind of another, more of like further proof that she is like this incredibly talented actress who does not get the credit that she deserves. And I really, really liked watching her and Channing Tatum together. I'd like to watch them like in something else that wasn't this, but I kept getting distracted by the fact that I know exactly how it's going to end. And as if the movie itself wasn't obvious enough in terms of how it was going to end, you have Lakeith Stanfield, who's basically the exposition character, basically being like, oh, you're dumb, you're stupid, you keep missing, you're so smart, you're the smartest idiot I've ever known, and this is exactly how it's going to end if you can't. And I'm just goofy. Like, we get it. Like, we get it. So he's just like, we have that part. Juno Temple's just there for the sake of being there. And it's like, you have a lot of these really good, really talented actors who are just like in these bit parts.
What nothing roles for Ben Mendelsohn and Juno Temple?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Just
you have Ben Mendelsohn,
yeah.
who's like become like kind of a muse for Derek Cianfrance, and he's just there as like the local like town pastor, who's like the first person to like actually be nice to Channing Tatum. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, some of the exposition is a little clunky, but like it's very well directed and really well performed and just really well paced. And I did have a very good time with it. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I was expecting it to be like a lock for like my top 5 of this year, just on paper. Just looking forward to this movie for months, but it's still very good. And I do want to see Derek C and France uh continue to play in this sort of wheelhouse
Yeah.
where not everything has to like be like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
you're great at making depressing stories."
Oh my
But
God.
this was nice.
Dude, Light Between Oceans, like that is one theater going experience I wish I could take back. Oh man, thankfully that is a movie that nobody saw and nobody remembers and nobody even knows exists. But yeah, just not fun. You also reminded me of a movie that you saw this past weekend that I almost completely forgot about because I saw it at TIFF, and this is a
And
movie
it
that
came
like
out this week, and
it
yeah.
finally came out this weekend. Yeah, I didn't love this movie. Well, so I should rephrase. I like this movie a lot, but I knew I wasn't gonna love it the way that you were because this is a movie that was like. This is a movie that was basically made for you, and that's Good Fortune. Aziz Ansari's directorial debut, starring himself, Seth Rogen, and
Well, I don't
Keanu
really
Reeves.
appreciate that, but okay.
I mean, look. I mean, am I wrong?
I mean, kinda, yeah. I mean, I feel like anybody who wants like a good comedy and just makes them feel good would appreciate this movie. And I think the people that don't care about like stupid allegations that went nowhere, then yeah, this is a good movie for you. And to remind you that Aziz Ansari is still hilarious and one of the brightest minds in comedy that we have.
I mean, I agree, but the sad thing to admit is that despite the fact that you're right, the allegations went nowhere because they were bullshit to begin with. The
Yeah.
thing is that they have affected his career. We haven't been seeing him in as much stuff over the last couple of years, and his career and the types of stories that he's drawn to are significantly less fun, I would say, than what we were kind of used to. And I guess just because I mean, okay, so take the plot of this movie, right? Which is where Aziz is a down on his luck guy who's struggling to make ends meet. He just no matter what happens, he cannot catch a break. He ends up basically getting a job working as an assistant to Seth Rogen, who's like this multi-billionaire, and then gets fired over a really stupid little thing that unfortunately happens all too often when you have people very, very well off that interact with people and just completely take for granted their struggles. And then in comes Keanu Reeves as an angel who literally is basically like, oh, he is basically like, his responsibility is to ensure that people who drive while texting don't die, but he obviously wants more. So he essentially finally presents himself to Aziz and switches. He tries to do It's a Wonderful Life, where
Yes.
switches Aziz with Seth Rogen in order to try and show him the error of his ways, but it literally just fixes all of Aziz's problems, essentially, and allows him to like kind of get back at Seth Rogen. And the movie ultimately it's another one of those instances where it was very charming. It was very much it was very much trying to look at very like relevant issues, specifically with class disparity. But at the end of the day, I feel like the way that this ended was just a little bit too cutesy for me. But now that's just my take. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be everyone else's.
All right. Well, I don't know how you wanted or expected this to end like badly or darkly. Like
Not
I don't
badly or darkly. Just I thought it was like, oh, that's like tying it up in like too neat of a bow, almost. You know?
I thought the whole thing was kind of clever the more I think about it. Like just from the conceit, like Keanu Reeves is playing an angel stalking Aziz Ansari's character because he feels so bad for him. Even though that's not his department, he's told explicitly you can't do that. But instead of paying attention to Keke Palmer's character, he's supposed to prevent an accident, a car accident with her, that fucks everything up for the movie. That fucks everything up for the story. Is if Keanu Reeves was doing his job, none of this would be happening. And I just find that hilarious. And then so her getting into the car accident means that their date with Aziz Ansari and her have to delay the date to the next day, which means Seth Rogen tells Aziz to go to the expensive restaurant because of course it's not expensive to him.
Right.
So prices won't mean much to him. They don't get what Seth Rogen, says to order, but they still have an insane bill of $326 or whatever. So he gets fired for that, even though it was just a dumb misunderstanding and he was the one that told him to go there. And Aziz says, I'll pay you back. And it's just, Seth is just a little bit too salty, but I love how clever it was that Aziz set up the ayahuasca meeting. So Seth's whole ayahuasca experience is this.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life. And when they reveal that at the end, they remind us, oh, he's waking up from it. I don't care that I'm spoiling it. No one fucking saw the movie this week and it's pissing me off. I was the only one in theater. People tell me all the time, oh, you got to see comedies in theaters. Oh, that's the only way it'll come back. I go, I'm the only one there. I'm laughing to myself the entire time, cackling at Keanu Reeves's brilliant comedic performance as this angel. Every line delivery is perfect. This is perhaps the best Keanu Reeves has ever been. Like, he's the heart and soul of this movie.
There's a reason why he's my one guy that I have in for it.
His whole monologue near the end, like at the end to Aziz on the bench, is just beautiful. How he's saying he loves him and he loves Jeff and he loves he loves his coworker. Who that's another thing. Aziz's use of non-actors in this movie was beautiful. Just between that guy at the restaurant that he washes dishes with, and you find out that Keanu saved his wife, and it reminds him, oh, that's when I was doing my job, right? But yeah, I just thought this movie was just incredibly clever. It was funny in like an 80s, 90s, early 2000s throwback
very much so.
kind of way, that it wasn't like hitting you over the head with jokes, but it was just very clever and charming and funny, and just everyone in this movie is good. Like, Seth Rogen is hilarious. It just reminding you like why he's one of the best go-to comic actors in the game. Like, he's just hilarious as this character and adds pathos to this character, and you feel just as bad for that character as you do Aziz's at one point in the movie, like, honestly. And even by the end, like, his whole monologue in the boardroom is just very satisfying. Yeah, it's a comedy. It's not going to be the most unpredictable thing in the world, but I did appreciate the swings this movie was going for. I liked the message that it was going for. It was just killing me. And I just thought the writing was just super clever. I liked the way things tied back. I love the dialogue, how the continuity was just very good in this movie, dialogue wise. Like, they would mention stuff from before that, like, it just tied together very well. I give this a very strong 8.5 out of 10. It's close to a 9. I'm really sad people are ignoring this movie flat out, because it kind of does seem like a movie that would just be on a streamer otherwise. But I appreciate that Aziz wanted to put this out in theaters. I just hate that it had to be put out in theaters in October of this year when it was ready by last year, and they could have easily put this out in the summer. And it feels way more like a summer comedy.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That makes a lot. Why wouldn't they? This is like more of a summer movie than a fall movie. Because
that's what I mean.
Right. Because that's ultimately the problem is, I mean, this is they put it out not just in October, but in one of the most jam-packed Octobers yet. Because I know it's kind of redundant that I called this the October wrap-up, but we still haven't even gotten Shelby Oaks, House of Dynamite, the Springsteen movie, or Begonia yet. We still have those 4 movies to come. So yeah, like, this is one of the most jam-packed Octobers. And basically, essentially, yeah, like, I did enjoy this movie. I don't want that to, like, go under the radar. I did like it. I just didn't love it the way that I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I didn't adore it, but I was close, because I just thought the charm was so infectious in like an organic way.
I was very surprised and impressed at how not cynical it was.
Yes.
But you know what it was? It was taking I figured it out. It was taking an uncynical approach to a very, very cynical subject matter and time that we're living in. And it was kind of similar to Roofman in the sense of those two were just kind of constantly clashing together, and I just don't feel like they meshed as well as they could have. But the parts that were good were really great. And Keanu as the angel, that's one of the most genius casting decisions I've ever seen recently. And like the bit where fucking Seth Rogen is yelling at him, and he's like, get me on the phone with God. I want to talk to God. And he's like, I can't. It's above my pay grade. And he's like, something along the lines of, it's like, leave me alone. Let me smoke my cigarettes. They're the only things that actually bring me joy in this life. I was dying laughing at that. That was perfect.
Wait, so he not only has to want to go back, which is what I thought we were doing this entire time, he has to be psyched about it?
It is really good. And
That's
like I said,
great.
you understand why I say I'm like, yeah, Dustin. I'm like, just because I'm like, Dustin is gonna love this. Like,
Yeah, it's very it's easily the funniest movie I've seen this year,
yeah,
easily. The best, like, straightforward comedy of the year, and I hate that it's going under the radar. I hate all of you that are ignoring it.
yeah. I'm trying to think. What's the funniest like straight comedy? Probably Twinless, but Twinless isn't a straight comedy. That's the
No,
thing.
that's more like a
Yeah,
dark comedy.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. So speaking of dark comedies, let's go to the other one that but this is the only movie that we were able to watch together this past weekend. And I was so shocked by this point that I almost slept through this movie. So I need you to basically break down this movie, make sure that I didn't miss anything, because I mean, in hindsight, I only slept through like 15-20 minutes of it, but like it was enough. I feel like I didn't give this movie a fair shake, so I'm waiting to give this another chance. That is the next A24 entry, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, directed by
Yeah.
Mary Bronstein, starring Rose Byrne. Yeah, take it from here, because man,
I wanted to kick you during this movie,
dude, it
'cause
was
you were
bad. It
fucking
was really
sleeping.
bad. I was so fucking shot
Yeah.
like throughout that whole day.
Mhm.
I watched Waiting for Godot, also with Keanu Reeves and Alex S. Winter. I slept through part of that.
Yeah,
I
dude, you
slept
were on
through
a sleep overload
dude,
that
it
day.
was
I'm like, you didn't
so
sleep enough
bad.
at the play, and you
No,
had to sleep at the movie?
dude, it was bad. It was really, really bad. Like the last month was just I don't want to talk about the last month, but yeah, take it from here. What is this movie?
Ugh. It's about this really depressed mom. Not gonna say what she does in the movie, but she's a very overstressed woman. Her husband's always on like away at work, and he's played by Christian Slater. And she has this daughter who has this really mysterious illness, and she
Yeah,
won't stop complaining the whole movie. She's deliberately like that. And usually movies like this that are like frustrating and cynical on purpose annoy the living shit out of me, but this was actually well made and really like it was ironic in like a non-annoying way where it's like I feel like the filmmakers are definitely on Rose Byrne's side the entire time.
mhm,
And I think Rose Byrne gives the best performance of her career easily. And we get some really good turns from Conan O'Brien and ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky has never been bad in a movie yet, which is crazy. But yeah, it's a very weird, hard to describe kind of movie, but it's definitely in that it has that Safdie DNA, obviously, because it's directed by Ronald Bronstein's wife, and it's produced by them, Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie. So yeah, it does have that Safdian feel, and it was just interesting. It was a very original and interesting, intriguing, entertaining, really fucking funny. Just very good, solid time. I'll give this a solid 8 out of 10.
yeah. Like I said, I'm holding my thoughts until I'm able to see this again, because I need to see like the whole scope of it so I can get it. Because the parts that I saw, I was mildly entertained by, but the problem is I was just so in and out of it that I could tell that there were parts that I was missing. Like it was not great. But I didn't even put two and two together, because I'm like again, this is how out of it I was that day. I'm like, oh shit, Bronstein. Why do I know that name? And it's Ronald Bronstein's wife. And I'm like, oh well, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. But
Oh, the
yeah,
soundtrack, by the way, in Good Fortune was phenomenal. But like, I love the soundtrack in Good Fortune. I forgot to because like that movie also might have my favorite cut to credits of the year. Like, it's a great final shot, and the final song in the movie just goes perfect with the vibe and tone of the movie.
all right. Put that on there. Next. And a big surprise in the sense that I was just had no expectations going into this, considering that this was a movie that should not have worked at all. And by all rights, it didn't, considering that it was a box office flop and has gotten, for the most part, middling reviews. But I still had a good time, and that's Tron Ares.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so there are two movies that came out this year that I have said, I'm like, I don't care what the negative backlash to this. I don't care what the negative reactions to this are going to be. I don't care how poorly conceived they are. I don't even necessarily care if they're going to be good movies or not. I've been waiting 15 years for another Tron movie. After Tron Legacy, I rewatched it during COVID, and that might be the greatest movie of the decade. I'm not even joking. And then you also have the long-awaited follow-up, Now You Three Me, or sorry, Now You See Me, Now You Don't. It's Now You Three Me. We all know it. That's coming out. That's bringing back the original Four Horsemen. Isla Fisher's back. it's a little sad that they have a couple new additions for that movie. Dominic Sessa, Justice Smith, Ariana Greenblatt. I'm like, really? You couldn't have done better with that. Rosamund Pike's the bad guy. And I'm like, I don't care what people say about this movie or if these movies are even going to be good. I'm watching these for me. And I watched this, and I don't know. Like, I don't, from what I've heard, apparently Jared Leto was the reason why this movie even got made in the first place, because apparently he's such a fan of the original, which, okay, we got to have the Jared Leto conversation, because I don't think you and I have actually, like, had a chance to really talk about that in depth. Like, so he's a cult leader. He comes off as creepy, but for me, it's like, no, it's just the method acting shit that pissed people off. That's really what it was. And the fact that he had, unfortunately, a series of things that were just not good, like the Suicide Squad movie. He's just, it's not good. It's not good. He's
well,
not.
He had two bad movies. All right.
Yeah.
This is the Jared Leto thing. 2013 and pre-2013, he was the 30 Seconds to Mars, My So-Called Life teen star, former teen star, turned Oscar winner for Dallas Buyers Club. Not a peep about him being a creep. Not a peep. As soon as he does Suicide Squad and Blade Runner 2049 to a smaller effect, where he partially blinded himself for the role, whatever the fuck that means, he does all this dumb shit behind the scenes on Suicide Squad, also sending people rats and dildos or whatever. And that's when people started to get annoyed. And when the movie came out, they were like, yeah, fuck him. This is annoying. He's annoying in this. And I was on the same page. I was like, yeah, this what movie is he in? What the fuck is this? It's like barely like entertaining even. And it's like, ugh. But and then I saw Blade Runner 2049. I'm just like, all right, what is going on with him? Like, is he just like he's talking like this the whole movie? And it's like, what are you doing? What are these choices? Ever since then, he's been on the right track again for me. I really did love his performance in House of Gucci. Someone had to play that role. Someone had to be the comedic relief for that movie. That's how it was written. He was really good in that movie.
All the problems that I had with that movie, he was surprisingly like, I mean, I didn't like him in the movie, but he was surprisingly like the only one who seemed to kind of understand the very bizarre like tone that Ridley Scott was going for with that movie, which I still can't put a finger on it. But
yeah, and the little things also. Like, I think he was
right,
like the most effective part of that movie too. Like, he's not a bad actor. I'm sick of this discussion of just like, oh, Jared Leto's a shitty actor. It's like, where were you? When were you saying this when Requiem for a Dream came out? Like, you know what? No, you weren't. Shut the fuck up.
Well, keeping in mind too that a majority of these people that are bitching and complaining probably weren't even born when.
No, but you got people like Sean Fennessy openly saying, "I don't like Jared Leto," and he's like, he brings up one point where it's like, okay, can Jared Leto open a movie? Hasn't been proven to be, but it doesn't mean he's a bad actor. You know what I mean? You didn't hear Sean Fennessy have to elaborate after he says, "Oh, I just don't like Jared Leto." Everybody else has to elaborate ever, but he never has to. It's like, okay, so Sean, you thought he sucks in Requiem for a Dream? We're just going to pretend that's a piece of shit now? Like, are you dumb? It's like, no, he's a very talented actor, and all that build up to say he's actually one of the best parts of this movie. He works.
Not even just the best parts of this movie. I think I am on the train of like, I think Tron Ares works. I do. Yeah. I really, really enjoyed this movie.
I think it's better than the first. I think it's not a hard feat.
Yeah, but the first movie, look, the thing about the first movie, and really just the whole concept of Tron, is that Tron is a concept that will forever always be ahead of when it comes out. Because when the original came out, everybody liked to create it because they're like, oh, you're cheating because you're using CGI, even though the CGI usage of that is minimal. Tron Legacy, for whatever reason, people just slept on it. And then for whatever reason, like the Daft Punk score becoming as iconic as it was caused people to like circle back around to it like a decade later. Now we have Tron Ares. And what's funny about this is that kind of similar to when The Creator came out 2 years ago, I'm like, okay, this is another movie where AI is quote unquote, like we're obviously, yeah, AI is largely still the bad guys, but I'm like, but we're rooting for the AI program ultimately to succeed, you know, in this Pinocchio-esque story ultimately. So I think what's so interesting about this, specifically like that controversy, is the fact that people are more so talking about Jared Leto and how much they don't like him, and not about the fact that it's another movie that's making AI like the good guy, for lack of a better word. Despite the fact that it's like, oh, when he's paired up with Greta Lee, who I think can barely act in this, which is ironic because you actually kind of liked her in it, but I'm like, yeah, she's fine. Well, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, she's more robotic than the actual fucking AI programs in this movie. So I thought that was just so funny. But yeah, this is just a movie that is just so bizarre in the sense of where like the supporting cast around them is
Jodie Turner-Smith. Jodie Turner-Smith needs
who
to
is just
never
not
work
good.
again.
She's not
I'm
good.
sick of her. She's never been good in a single thing. She's always been bad.
I still like Queen and Slim, but yeah,
Ugh.
she's
Do
not
you?
good. So her,
Piece of shit.
Gillian Anderson, Evan Peters, Hassan Minaj, Arturo Castro, and Jeff Bridges, of course, reprises his role as Flynn in a very cool little cameo there. And yeah, my whole thing is, I'm like, the thing about Tron is a vibes movie first. It's you're not watching it for the story. You're watching it for the set design, the production design, the visuals, and number one, the score. The score is the main character of these movies. And again, the thing that actually got me locked in, because when I first heard about this, and I'm like, oh my God, they're getting the fucking guy who directed the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean movie starring Jared Leto, like at the time, and because remember, this is also when we were just coming off of Morbius, and I'm just like, no, like I'm out at all. But then they announced that 9 Inch Nails was doing the score, and I'm like, okay, not Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, 9 Inch Nails. I'm like, okay, if there was ever gonna be a good enough follow-up to Daft Punk, because nobody could ever replace that Daft Punk score is iconic for a reason. If there was ever going to be somebody that could fill their shoes, it would be 9 Inch Nails.
It would be the people that had the other more iconic score of 2010. It would be Trent Reznor and
I'm just saying, who talks more about the social? What do people talk about more, the Social Network score or Tron Legacy score? I'm just
Social Network.
I don't know. Anyways, let's go. I digress. But look, all I know is there are certain sequences in here where I'm like, these are some of the most incredible sequences I've ever seen. Like when the programs are trying to infiltrate like the Flynn. Like, I'm not even gonna get into any of like the shit about like the backstory of Tron and everything and all the stories and how, again, surprisingly adherent they were to the lineage of Tron, both Tron and Tron Legacy. I was actually very surprised by how well they did their homework and the fact that like they went out of their way to like get Evan Peters is like the grandson of Dillinger, the bad guy from the first one. And like, even though Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde are not in this movie at all, they are very specifically referenced as far as
I kind of miss them.
This movie made me miss them. I'm like, because they were both really good. Because like,
yeah, I liked them in the first movie.
Yeah, Tron Legacy was like kind of like a breakout for both of them. Really, I mean, yeah, they'd been in a lot of stuff beforehand, but that was like their really big breakout. I would say that they both like kind of leveraged that movie to the best of their ability. Olivia Wilde's directing career notwithstanding, but Garrett Hedlund is still killing it. I actually just watched him on the newest episode of Tulsa King that dropped today. He's great on that.
I wish he wasn't on that show.
I
he's
do,
a better
but
actor.
He's so good on it. He's so good on it.
Such a better actor than so fucking
much fun. And this season sucks, but I'm still having such a blast with it. But anyways, the thing about this movie that really was the biggest surprise is I'm like, wow, I actually kind of dig Jared Leto in this. Like, not only does he work for this part, like he understands the assignment perfectly. Like in terms of like, and then when I understood that, like, oh, he was a fan of the original and was like the championing reason for why this movie got made. I'm like, I'm kind of with it, you know. Whatever he does in his personal life, I'm not about that. But as far as him working like really hard to get this movie made, I'm with it, you know. Now, will this movie get a sequel? Absolutely not, because it bombed in theaters. But I'm like, the fact that we got a new Tron movie, I'm with it. I like it. I had fun.
I don't think it's gonna make its money back in China, or like
is it opening in China?
Why wouldn't it?
It's an American movie made by Disney.
Oh, they don't allow Disney anymore?
I'm pretty sure that embargo is still pretty strong with Disney movies. That's the reason. Nobody talks about this. That's the reason why every MCU movie is flopped, because they don't open in China anymore.
So that means Star Wars isn't going to open in China either.
Probably not. Also, again, the fact that we haven't had a Star Wars movie since 20. I mean, don't get me wrong. Mandalorian and Grogu will make its money back because of it's the Mandalorian and like it has the goodwill. And even though
I hope that movie bombed.
Listen, even though it is another very obvious TV season that they co-opted into a movie, Moana 2 made over $1 billion. So that's my litmus test. And I don't believe it has any competition. It's opening Memorial Day, so unfortunately I have a bad feeling that one's going to make.
I'll give this a 6.5 out of 10. The visuals were fantastic. The score was fantastic. Really the lifeblood of the movie, like I said in my review, even though they did use excerpts of the Social Network and Soul scores.
Oh yeah, but they've been riding off that, I feel like, for a while. Like didn't they even do that for Watchmen also back in 2019?
Not as much as in this, I don't think.
Well, I mean, given who it was paying them, it's like, oh, Disney, they don't care about quality output. They just want like repetition of the good old
Still
people.
One of the best scores of the year.
Absolutely. Right? Like, argument you made, this might be like the score of the year, but yeah. Like I said, I enjoy it. I gave it a 4 out of 10. I'm like, I just had a good time in theaters. That's all I was asking for. Yeah, sorry, 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, and the only other movie that I'm going to talk about before we get to our big two runs is I saw the Black Phone 2 on Thursday night. It was fun. I had a good time with it. I didn't really like the first one that much. I thought the first one was just kind of generic. The second one,
I've been hearing.
I liked that it was like a cool expansion on the lore. The Madeline McGraw, them giving her more screen time, I wasn't necessarily a big fan of because I'm like, oh, she really kind of can't act ultimately.
What?
And I hate that she's.
She was like great in the first movie. What are you talking about?
Yeah, she's not as good in this one because they put her more front and center stage in this one. And I'm like, oh, there's a reason why. But I mean, the thing that kept throwing me off is the fact that Mason Thames and Madeline McGraw are both a decade younger than me because Mason Thames is 18 and Madeline McGraw 17. And I'm like, oh my God, like just kill me now. But
I'll say this about that kid, Mason Thames. He was solid enough in the first movie. I don't know if that guy has it.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if he's a good actor, but I didn't see this or How to Train Your Dragon.
I was never watching How to Train Your Dragon. I liked him in this because what I liked is they gave him like a solid enough arc, you know, after the first one where basically they basically say like, oh, he's smoking weed in order to cope with his trauma, essentially. And so I'm like, okay.
That was like, yeah, that makes sense. But like what I've heard about this movie is that if you really like the first movie like I did, and I thought the way the first movie ended, it was like, why do you even need another one? It's like, okay, then I don't need to see this because I hear that you'll like it a lot more if you didn't like the first movie.
And that's the thing. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. I thought the first one was okay, but and aside from Ethan Hawke being fucking awesome and like the Grabber, like I think has earned his spot in the lexicon of like iconic like slasher villains. And also the fact that like the thing that I thought was so interesting is the fact that the Grabber as like a character and concept was so interesting because he was like based in the real world for the first one. And then in this one, they're basically making it like, okay,
Freddy
so
Krueger.
he's Freddy Krueger meets Jason. But what's interesting is they already had established like the supernatural elements in the first one. So it's not like coming out of nowhere. The fact that the ghosts of his murder victims were coming back to help the Mason Thames character so that they could prevent what happened to them from happening to him. And they do take that in like a new interesting direction. And they do some interesting stuff with the mom and the sister. I won't get too in depth at the risk of spoiling it. But I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I had no expectations going in and it was solid enough and it had a fun enough ending. And Ethan Hawke is still fucking great as this character. Like Ethan Hawke, low-key, possibly one of the best actors that we've ever had. Because I'm watching him on The Lowdown, and I'm like, the fact that he does the Black Phone 2 and The Lowdown simultaneously, and also I watched the first two entries of the Before trilogy, Before Sunrise and Sunset this year, and it's one of the best romantic leads we've ever had. I'm like, is there anything that Ethan Hawke can't do? And the answer, I don't know. But so, let's move on to the big one. So
I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah. Our two big Oscar contenders. So I watched It Was Just an Accident.
Lucky fuck.
Accident.
Dude, lucky fuck.
Dude. Oh my God. Like you want to talk about a movie that I had no idea. Like no fucking idea what this was going to be going in. And then like was just locked in. And that's the other thing too. Also, this movie is only an hour and 42 minutes. Like by the time this movie ended, like I wasn't even sure if it was ending. That's how locked in I was. Not only is this like a lock for Best Picture nomination for sure. This is most definitely, I think, winning International Feature Award over No Other Choice. As much as I love No Other Choice, this is absolutely winning it. And for, again, the fact that Jafar Panahi, the director, has the ultimate edge of like, oh, he shot it against, without permission from the Iranian government. So it's basically the whole like F you to the Middle East regime.
Real quick, is this the most competitive field for the international category ever?
Yes. And because it's all Neon releases. Because Neon
not even just the Neon factor. I just mean in general. Like this year has just been crazy.
It's up there because you got this, you got The Secret Agent, you got Sentimental Value, you got No Other Choice, and there's a bunch of other ones. The Voice of Hind Rajab as well. What was that other one? There was another one that came out at Cannes.
Surat.
Surat, that's the one. Yes.
That was real. I saw that. That was really good.
Yeah, no, this year is going for with the international releases.
If you guys really like Sorcerer, the William Friedkin movie, then I absolutely recommend Surat.
Yeah. That was another one that I missed at TIFF. But like, oh man, like I don't even know how much I can go into the plot without like spoiling it completely. Because like it's one of those movies where you can't know anything going in. All that I'll say is that if you are aware of kind of basically Middle Eastern politics, essentially, in terms of like you have a lot of these regime governments that will just scoop up and just like relentlessly torture people for like not even doing anything bad. And like in this case, it's a group of people who were political protesters because they weren't getting paid for like 3 straight months, essentially, where you have this family that their car breaks down in front of this repair shop. And one of the repair guys recognizes the dad who's walking with a limp as somebody who may or may not have tortured him at one point during that. The problem is that he can't confirm that it's him. So he basically kidnaps the dad and then starts rounding up all of these other former political prisoners who were tortured by this guy in order to try and see if they can confirm that it's him. And it is just wild, the direction that this movie that it goes in. I feel like that's all that I can say without spoiling it. But like, it is one where like, and it's opening in very, very limited release right now. I don't know when it's going to get a wide release, but if and when you guys get a chance to go and see this, go and see this, because this is one of the few movies I've seen that when the credits started rolling, the audience was silent, and they didn't even get up for like a solid like 5 minutes. I was the first one to get up just because I had to stretch my legs, but like it was that's how fucking good this movie was. So definitely go and see it.
I can't wait.
The ending shot of this movie alone is like, oh, like I can't even. I can't even. It's that good. And then you lucky motherfucker, got to see your guy Bradley Cooper's third feature film, Is This Thing On, at New York Film Festival, starring Will Arnett and Laura Dern. Break it down for the audience.
Okay, well, I was staying at your place, and then I wanted to get there, and you told me how to get there, and I got there. I was the first one there in line for the people that bought tickets already. So I got there really early, and I got a really good seat too. And Bradley Cooper, Will Arnett, Laura Dern, Andra Day, Christine Ebersole, they were all there to introduce the movie. And yeah, I'm slightly disappointed with this one, like I was with Smashing Machine, but I did really like this as well. It's about Will Arnett and Laura Dern. They play a married couple whose marriage is disintegrating. So they get separated, and Will Arnett decides to take his frustration out with stand-up comedy, and uses that as like sort of a therapy for him. And he starts to go to open mics at the Comedy Cellar in the most realistic of ways, probably. Yeah, there was a little problem I had. There's a little bit of a like a skosh of punchline energy in this. If you're familiar with that film with Sally Field and Tom Hanks, where comics, of course, had lockers at the comedy club. But yeah, there's a couple offhand lines to be like, "Oh yeah, support your fellow comics." A little corny stuff like that, but the actual stand up on stage is really when this movie shines, and Will Arnett in particular is quite excellent. And I wouldn't keep him out of the Oscar conversation just yet. I do think, while this movie isn't on that level, he is, and I'm glad that Bradley Cooper gave him that opportunity. And yeah, it did have moments of like Malick meets David O. Russell with its cinematography, beautifully done by Maddie Lee Batik, one of my favorites.
Yes,
one
of the best in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Who also did Caught Stealing, one of the best of the year, of our favorites of the year.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie when it wasn't focused on Laura Dern, who plays this embittered former Olympic volleyball player who just has the most childish reasoning imaginable for any given moment. Just she always thinks she's in the right. She just the things she says to Will Arnett's like sincere, genuine, loving comments. She is just like a petulant teenager in this movie, and I just don't really like it when Laura Dern, an actress in her 50s now, is just continuing to play these types of roles.
She's actually almost 60.
That's what I mean. It's just like shockingly kind of miscast in this movie, but Arnett is such a good actor that he does have good chemistry with her. She's not a terrible actress. She's never been a terrible actress. She's been a little bit overpraised because what the hell is that Marriage Story win for Best Supporting Actress? That's one of the weirdest Oscar wins of all time. But I don't think I've been in love with a Laura Dern performance besides Big Little Lies season 2 since maybe the 90s.
Yeah.
With Wild at Heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a minute. I mean,
She's
I
not
liked
one of
her
those
in Inland
actresses for me.
I liked her in Inland Empire, but yeah, ever since Marriage Story, which was like the ultimate, like,
Like
praise women above all else moment, it's just her choices since then. I've been like,
like,
what are we doing?
if this was Rachel McAdams, this movie would make a lot more sense and feel a lot more funnier because Rachel McAdams is also a funnier actress than Laura Dern
Yeah.
in comedies. So it's like, yeah, I just thought that one element of the movie kind of bogged it down. She is kind of a co-lead, but Will Arnett is so fucking good in it that it makes you wish that the movie was more about the comedy scene and more about divorce than and sorry, this is a rom-com than an ultimate they get back together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
It's so I guess kind of my
better
base.
than Maestro, though.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna get at, is that this being Bradley Cooper's third feature film, I wasn't even sure if it was gonna come out this year because it was just getting so little, chatter in like all the awards conversations. It wasn't it was choosing to forego Toronto and Telluride, and it went straight to New York.
Mhm.
What do you think of Bradley Cooper's decision to kind of pull back after like these big, massive, showy efforts like Star is Born and Maestro
That's fine.
to
I don't
go
think
more
he's
quieter and intimate here?
I don't think he's expecting this to be a big awards player anyway. I think he
Okay.
just wanted to make a low-key movie. I don't think he wanted to take it to the other festivals because I do think it would have been drowned out by
Right.
other titles if it went to other festivals. But the fact that it decided to open in New York was very wise. I feel like
Do
it's
you
a
think this
very
is
New
part
York
of like a
film.
larger strategy on his part? Like he's going to go big for the next one? Or you think it's just like, nah, this is just like something really
He'll
personal
do
that he
whatever he
wants off
wants.
his
I don't
chest?
know. I can't read minds. I don't know. Who knows what he'll do next? It'll probably be good though, because he hasn't made anything
Yeah.
terrible yet as
Yeah.
a director.
I'm interested to see my thoughts on this because again, I haven't loved any of his movies yet. I really, really liked Maestro when I first saw it. And then in hindsight, I realized I'm like, no, I just really love like how committed Bradley Cooper is to this part and like how period
Mhm.
accurate he gets it. And Star is Born, that's another movie that you loved that when that came out in 2018, that you loved a lot more than me. And
Yeah,
I have said repeatedly, my thing about A Star is Born is I love the beginning, I love the end. The middle section, I'm not a big fan of.
that's
I think
understandable.
there feels like there's just pieces that are missing. So I'm interested to see how I'm gonna feel about this one, especially given like, oh, like what you've said about Laura Dern. It's like, oh yeah, it's another one-sided relationship where she's just blatantly acting like an immature child and he's just coping.
Yeah, like she could go on a date, no problem. But if he does, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's like
You're separated.
blatantly, obviously one.
Grow up. Eight
Yeah,
out of 10 for is this thing on?
yeah. Yeah, I'll be interested to see my thoughts on that when that comes out at Christmas. So, like I said, I feel like we did a pretty good job covering a majority of the October releases. Like I said, we got
We covered
Shelby Oaks.
everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, we got Shelby Oaks and Springsteen are next weekend. Begonia's and House of Dynamite are all next weekend. Begonia's the weekend after that.
I
We didn't get
can't
a chance
wait.
to talk about Mr. Scorsese yet. So you finished it. Yeah, I
Ooh.
saw the first two episodes. I'm really digging what I'm seeing so far. I'm
Yeah,
really digging what I'm seeing so
I
far.
spent my Saturday just binging that all
Yeah,
afternoon.
it's
It was near wonderful. It was a
yeah.
very, very well done film, and, I don't think Rebecca Miller is the ideal choice to be the director
I
for
don't
this.
even know who she was. Like,
She is an I believe she's an actress. Yeah, she was an actress, and she was in, that Kevin Kline movie and Kevin Spacey movie with Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. She was like the other wife she was like Kevin Spacey's wife in that movie. She was an actress turned director who's done a bunch of indie movies,
she's Daniel Day-Lewis's wife.
and I was just getting to
Yeah,
that, and she's also Daniel Day-Lewis's.
yeah. That explains it.
Where it's like, yeah, maybe she got easier access. There's quite a few people she could have interviewed in this movie. They kind of explain away why Joe Pesci's not in it, but
Oh.
they could have
I mean, I
interviewed.
had a feeling Pesci wasn't going to be in this regardless.
Ye
I've only seen the first two episodes,
I
but
just think it's annoying how they give Sharon Stone just, God knows how
oh
long to just
god.
blabble on,
Yeah, there's
and
a reason why I'm not. Yeah, based off what you've told me, and especially since you told me, because like the cut to De Niro at the end of the
but
first episode with Jumpin' Jack Flash was so fucking good.
yeah, it was
And
so
then when
good.
you told me that they reused it for DiCaprio at the end of one episode, there, I'm like,
Yep.
oh come on,
I'm like,
like
"What an
what?
amateur decision there,
What?
Rebecca."
Come on.
It's like,
Yeah.
why do you wanna redo the needle dr is that supposed to be an homage to Scorsese when he redoes needle drops in his you're not Scorsese. Stop it. Stop it. But, yeah, no Jonah Hill interview.
Ah,
That's a big no-no for me.
come
You
on.
that's a big no-no.
That's your guy.
You don't snub him and put
No,
Sharon fucking Stone in the movie,
come on.
okay?
Yeah.
Stop.
I really love the first 2 episodes of because the first episode is like the origin, and the second episode is all like the 70s, and yeah, it's great.
His mother was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, his
Martin
mother's
Scorsese's
the best.
mother.
His mother's fucking of all of like the celebrity moms, and I mean, she like takes the cake
And
easily.
his father's funny.
It's
too.
great. When they brought in the one dude who was the inspiration for De Niro's character in Mean Streets, I'm like, oh, I was so into it.
And what do they call Bobby De Niro? Bobby the Hat. Bobby the Hat.
It was awesome. I'm like, I need to tell my parents and my grandparents, like, you need to watch this. Like, just for you guys growing up around New York in that time period, like, you guys will love this. Because, like, my grandma is, like, a couple years younger than Scorsese. She grew up in the Bronx. My other grandpa, he was also in the Bronx around the same time. I'm like, just for that alone, I'm like, you guys are going to love this.
No Damon either.
One, I see why.
No Matt Damon, though.
I see
why. No Wahlberg.
Pesci and Jonah not being there, that's more egregious because those two were like, the iconic bits. But like Damon and Wahlberg, I get it because
Wahlberg
those two
was nominated. It was the only one nominated.
Only one nominated for The Departed, which is still sad.
So
I can't wait to get to the section.
And he didn't want to be in the movie.
2000s in general.
He didn't want to be in the movie either. So like, why the hell wasn't Wahlberg in this? There's so many people she could have interviewed, but no, she has to interview all of his ex-wives and get his toxic masculinity bullshit, even though he wasn't that toxic at all.
He even said it himself. He's like, yeah, I was too committed to be like married. Like that's all it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the one he ended up with, she got death, like really, she's like really ill, like Francesca's mother.
Oh, really? She's not doing well?
No.
Oh, that sucks.
So that's really sad. I don't know. I just didn't like that they tried to just paint him as more of a darker person than he really is, because he's
but they did the same thing with Gandolfini too for The Sopranos.
And that also was to mixed results.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that in that either.
I'm surprised. People are getting tired of of women constantly trying to paint males as all being toxic.
And that was a guy that directed that movie,
which is even crazier. Well, the question is, was that guy gay who directed it?
I don't know. It's the guy that did The Going Clear. I think. Yeah. Maybe.
Just saying. All right, that was our October wrap up. Luke and I will be going live with Lost tomorrow morning, so tune in for that, and tune in next weekend and the week after that for our continued Lost recaps and for more. And Dustin, we got our next Actors Hall of Fame coming up soon, so that'll be fun to look forward to. And we got a bunch more stuff, but yeah, year is winding down, and man, it never ends.
Yeah,
but
we're doing our Keith David Hall of Fame in honor of Shelby Oaks.
He's in that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because he's on the lowdown too. He's great on that.
For probably one scene though, because they don't have lowdown money.
We got to figure out when we can do Ethan Hawke though for Hall of Fames. Like we gotta.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
We have to, because I mean I still have a bunch of movies to see from him, but like just the Black Phone 2 and Lowdown like at the same time. I'm like, yeah, we got to do Ethan Hawke at some point. But Dustin, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Mr. G Movie Reviews. You're watching me right now, I think.
Yes, you are.
Very good. And on Letterboxd, go on Letterboxd, Dustin Mason.
Yes, and you can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talking TV Podcast across all platforms. Make sure you check out my Instagram so you can find my merch store, all my stuff that I've got going on there. And as always, people, 12 seasons and a short film, which I'm currently in the process of editing. We'll see you guys next time.